Back again, Chalk Talk, episode 15. The last two episodes, we got a little more personal. We talked about Rob in episode 13, and in episode 14, Edward talked about himself, their past, and how they got into powerlifting and whatnot. Now today, episode 15 is going to be all about me.
Spotlight change.
Spotlight change. I get to introduce my own episode. It's very exciting.
And you're going to ask yourself all the questions too.
So just like the last couple episodes, we're going to get into a little bit more just who I am, my skill sets, and how I got into the sport of powerlifting.
Here we
go.
You can ask us.
So first things first, Zachary Cox,
Hey.
What do you do?
What do I do? Ooh, that's a tough question. Can we circle back around now? What do I do? I am a personal trainer and powerlifting coach at Chalk It Up. It's a newer career for me. I was for a long time, straight out of high school actually. I was a union electrician for many years. Great career, had a lot of fun doing it, learned a lot, learned how to, establish a work ethic, learned how to make money and what money did for your life and your lifestyle. But was beating myself up a lot and just wanted a little bit more for my life. I wanted something that I kind of got myself into. I was kind of handed the job when I was younger. And I kept it myself, but I wanted to kind of go back, expand my knowledge, and find something that I was really interested in. I didn't want to get caught by the money or just caught by, being in a good situation. As a tradesman, you make great money, you have great benefits, but in turn, you definitely beat yourself up and lose other things in life. So, changed courses in life a little bit, found powerlifting, was surrounded by a bunch of good people, was given the opportunity to train in a really nice gym, and became a coach. Certified through NASM real quick, and then within the last year or so, I've been doing it about a year now. I've experienced juggernaut seminars. I've been to other powerlifting seminars. I've met people like Ray Williams who are huge in the sport, and have really built a huge foundation of knowledge for this sport and just strength training and general fitness over the last year, quicker than most people would, just because I was lucky enough to have those opportunities. And other than that, I am also, what do I do? I am a student, and not like your typical sense where you think high school and you go straight into college and do all that. I took a little break because I got into the trades, and I decided to go back because I found a liking for fitness, whether you want to call it powerlifting or general fitness. I found a liking in that and decided it was enough for me, enough to motivate me to go back to school. So I'm 24 years old, going back to school, which if anyone is kind of on the fence about going back to school, they think they're not going to fit in or going to kind of, they've missed their window of opportunity. It's definitely not true. There's actually a lot of benefits to going back to school later. And I'm actually more motivated because I don't have friends surrounding me all the time. I'm not distracted. I'm studying something I enjoy. And it's made life a big life change in the last year. For the better, absolutely. And that's about it right now. That's what I do on a daily basis.
So now, along that same line, what did you do athletically or sport-wise? Or what is your sport history before powerlifting?
Okay. I've always been a smaller individual, height and weight, but I found basketball at a very young age, and I've been a basketball player. I shoot around still, but I played basketball through elementary school, middle school, high school. I played for about 12 years, AAU teams, everything you can possibly think of, camps in different states. But I was more into the, cardio, agility, more athletic training background. Never really lifted weights. Was always kind of scared of contact. I played football for a year and just did not like the contact. I was a small kid. I was getting beat up. Just wasn't my forte. So I found basketball. It was very precision-based, agility-based. Kind of an all-around sport, but not much strength training in that sport. That was that. I did as a young lad. I was also in gymnastics for a few years. I was very big on staying flexible and just kind of being able to perform basketball better. And I knew a few people, so I did gymnastics for a few years. I also BMX raced, as random as that is, for a few years. And then I also played lacrosse in high school, early high school, and then I stopped, and then I actually played for about 6 months in Tahoe for a team up there. So I still mess around with that a little bit, but my main background was basketball and more of more of agility work and speed work.
And would you say basketball is your favorite sport?
I'd say basketball is my favorite sport. Yeah, I think the combination of, you do have to be strong. It's not strength-based, but the agility aspect, the jumping, the change of direction, the analyzing things on the court, and it's a very, very hard sport to master, and that's why, even the best players in the world only shoot 40%. There's never a perfect game. There's never a perfect anything, and the challenge of trying to strive for that was definitely the driving factor of me wanting to play basketball.
So after all those sports you played, what eventually got you into powerlifting?
So after high school, getting into work and stuff, I kind of stopped all sports, all working out, stuff like that. And then what actually got me into the sport of powerlifting, or in the gym to start that, was I've always had this urge, just being smaller. And just to give you a reference, going into high school, I was 4'11", 140 pounds. I am now 24, so we're about 7 years out of high school.
Fucking asshole.
I'm 6 foot.
Smallest thing I've ever heard of.
Small,
My dog's bigger than that.
small fry. No, it was bad. Like 140 pounds soaking wet too.
Carol's bigger than that.
Yeah. So I'm 6 foot, 185 pounds. I put on some muscle. I'm still not the biggest guy in the world. Still definitely, if you look at me, you wouldn't think I was a power lifter. I've built some strength and whatnot, but you look at me and you think more of like an athlete type training, football, basketball, whatever it may be. But I was actually introduced to Chalk It Up and the sport of powerlifting through an old friend, and he actually happened to go to Chalk It Up, and one day, as random as it was, he hit me up and we ended up coming here, and I fell in love with the sport, and I actually had my first powerlifting meet 3 months after I started lifting at all. And got really, really into the sport, and just the fact of I didn't have that competitive nature anymore in life. I found it with this, and it was something that I've always wanted for myself, to be bigger, to be stronger, and something that challenged me every day to be better than I was the day before. And since then, it's been my life.
So a little, I want to ask Wilmer to put this in the YouTube video.
Okay.
But how much did you weigh when you started?
Powerlifting?
Or powerlifting and strength training, going to the gym?
Picture here.
Yeah, when I first started powerlifting or going to the gym just to kind of build a base, I started with a bunch of buddies I lived with. We went to 24-hour fitness in Redwood Park, and we were lifting, the bro split, a couple days a week, chest, incline, decline, flat, the whole typical.
Traps and calves.
Absolutely. I was about 150, 155 pounds. And you could see my rib cage. I'm tiny. And I couldn't bench when I started. I couldn't bench a 25 plate on either side for more than like 2 or 3 reps without getting smoked.
And what are you benching now?
And now we're benching
25 and one of those little chip plates now.
Exactly.
The microplate.
It's a very slow process. Now, max bench is roughly around 260, 270. So definitely have added a lot of strength, but it's taken, I've been lifting now for about 2 years. Powerlifting strictly for about a year and a half.
And how much weight have you put on in that time?
I've put on about 45 pounds or so, roughly, fluctuating a little bit, but roughly that. The goal is 200, so we're getting closer, but definitely going to take some time.
And you're a lean guy.
And I'm very lean. I'm another reference point. I'm 5.8% body fat. I'm grossly lean. I could do a bodybuilding show right now or a physique show, and I have not trained for it at all.
And 45 pounds of lean tissue in that time is awesome and also ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
That was a lot of noob gains, to start out, but I hunkered. I was training 6 days a week for a year and a half, 2 years, and doing everything I could outside the gym as well, just to be bigger, to be better, to feel good. It's taken a lot of hard work.
So I think we're going to ask a bunch of questions about the various parts of your background, but speaking on like coming from a more explosives, agility, speed, basketball background, how has the mindset shifted in training for a sport like basketball versus training for a sport like powerlifting?
Where you have to actively move slower.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. So actively having to control your positioning and your muscles and the direction you're headed is definitely different. But also basketball is a team sport, so you always have people to kind of adjust with, and you can kind of bounce off of what they're doing. Powerlifting, yeah, you're in a group setting, but it's more of an individual sport or an individual activity. So one, having the mental strength to be able to push yourself to limits you've never pushed yourself. I've never worked harder in my life than training specifically for powerlifting. You have to put yourself in areas where you've never gone before and didn't think you could get to, but you'd be very surprised at how far you can push yourself mentally and physically.
Can you speak on the difference between like hard strength training versus hard agility training?
Hard strength training versus hard agility training.
Or even like skill work in basketball?
Yeah, skill work in basketball. A lot of it's going to be the specificity, but tempo is a big thing. Agility work, your high heart rate, sweating, moving. Powerlifting, you may sweat. I mean, we don't really do cardio, but it's definitely the tempo thing is probably the biggest change. What else? Just the nature of actually trying to basketball, you can kind of adjust as you go. Powerlifting, you really kind of have to stick to a strict regimen, and that's another big one. Basketball, as well as agility training, it's a little less abrasive on your muscles and your joints and stuff like that. And so the feeling of being sore all the time and getting used to that, knowing that that's normal and you need to actually work through that to build muscle, build strength, is a lot different than agility work or working to, perform in a basketball setting.
Okay.
I would say probably the hardest part, switching from rugby training to like strength training, is like actively going slower, like actively taking more rest in between sets.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're doing something like an athletic style, it's like, you want to shorten the rest, keep the heart rate up, moving around a little bit more.
Well, and the
That's
fact
kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, no, and the fact of, slowing it down, playing basketball, agility work, you're working fast twitch muscles all the time, and that's really all you're working. And having to transition your body into using more slow twitch muscle fibers and all that is a process in itself too. And it's something you kind of have to train yourself to do. It's not just something you can just pick up and kind of do. Yeah, that's a big one too. And I'm naturally just more of an agility athlete in that sense. And I'm kind of working against myself. I'm a little bit taller, I'm leaner. I have longer arms, so deadlift comes pretty naturally easy for me, but squat, the throw is really long. Bench, my arms are really long. And being a smaller bodied person, it's definitely a challenge transitioning into that.
So you're saying the next step is weightlifting?
The next step would be to kind of add the combo of the two, agility and would be weightlifting, yeah. So, and that's something I've never done, something I definitely want to learn so I can coach it, but something I definitely want to know for myself as well.
So to go along the same line of like, what are the difficult things in balancing training for powerlifting and transitioning to powerlifting from basketball? What are the difficult things that you encounter in being both a student and an athlete or someone who trains for powerlifting?
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, great one. The biggest challenge is being an athlete and also working for myself and training myself. The biggest aspect is time management. You don't realize when you have to commute and go to different places, time management is super important. There's not days where you can kind of slack off and get things done here and there. You kind of have to have a set schedule every day almost, and it adjusts day to day, but you really need to be on top of your stuff. And not just the fact of going to school, you got to pay attention to get good grades, which means you need to have adequate sleep, which means you need to be fed properly. And these are things that you need to kind of adjust throughout the day and kind of keep track of, because you lose, you train really hard for powerlifting, you're not recovering well, you're not sleeping well, you're not going to perform well in the gym, you're also not going to perform well on paper. And so time management, staying on top of things is definitely a big obstacle I have to deal with. The misconception also of just how weightlifting to a lot of people or powerlifting seems kind of like a simple thing. Oh, you're just lifting weight, you're picking it up, putting it down. It's not that simple. There's so much there's so many technical aspects to powerlifting, balance, positioning of the body, the bones, how every body is different. There's so many aspects to it. It's more technical than basketball ever thought of being. And that's something that people don't realize when they're looking at it from the outside, is that powerlifting, lifting in general is very, very technique based. Another challenge I have a girlfriend who is in college here in town and trying to balance personal life and her not being into powerlifting per se. She does her own thing in the gym, but not being into it like I am, and trying to balance my life with her life, and her being younger and wanting to party and drink, and me trying to hold back and still wanting to spend time with her, but at the same time needing to accomplish what I need to accomplish to get to my goals. is something that I'm still learning day to day, and it's a challenge. So that's another big one. Is personal to work life essentially is another big challenge.
So on the flip side of all these things, what have been the most rewarding things in transitioning from basketball to powerlifting and going to school and studying in a field that is related to your work?
Most rewarding things, I would have to say, obviously just kind of off the go, is with powerlifting and strength training like I've done, gaining the weight I have. My physical appearance, I've always wanted to be bigger. I've always been that small kid, and I've always looked at people like, oh, I want big arms, I want a big chest, I want this. And I'm finally starting to see some of that. And when I look at myself in the mirror without a shirt on, I'm definitely happier. Definitely not where I want to be yet, but definitely seeing a lot of positivity in myself and my body, which also helps with my own personal attitude. I'm happy with the way I look, so I'm not stressed about it so much. It's definitely something that's weighed on me heavy. Just being made fun of, always being small, just, I've changed that. Now I'm the big guy. People don't recognize me anymore because I've changed so much. Another rewarding thing is getting good grades in school in a field that I'm already working in, and then having clients who are successful as well is super rewarding. I just had a client who maxed out the other day, added 110, 120 pounds to his total in just over 4 months. He did great, and just the fact of the text message I got later that night with just thanking me, like, thank you for helping me out. I really enjoy this sport now. He's doing his first meet here, Chalk It Up, in November. Those moments are really, really special, and it may seem very minuscule, but just the gratitude that people have towards you when you put in, hard work and help them get to their goals is probably the biggest reward. And then the motivation of enjoying what I do makes school that much easier, and when I see A's on my report cards and stuff, it's just cherry on top.
See, you see some people are raised like that.
Oh, the C students.
So you stole a question out of my mouth. I wanted to add a new question, like, what was your favorite experience in coaching a client? Would you say that is your favorite, or like one of the most rewarding?
That's definitely one of the most rewarding. My favorite aspect of coaching people is usually when people are starting out, they don't realize how far they can go or how far they can push themselves, and getting a person to kind of drive and dig deep to a place they've never gone before, and showing them that it's okay, you're not going to get hurt. Just stick to what you know, the foundational aspects. That's super rewarding when someone's like, I've never touched 300 on a bar before, and they have plenty of strength, they're just kind of scared to do it. Getting them out of that mindset and kind of getting through that block is super rewarding as well.
So if you could sort of paint a caricature of what was Zach Cox like, and what was his attitude toward training like before powerlifting, and then what is your sort of attitude and philosophy on training now?
You could just paint like a stick figure, be like the same size as Zach.
No, it definitely would. So before I really got into powerlifting and strength training, I would say I didn't really know about powerlifting per se. I wasn't involved in the strength training family community, and so I didn't really know. I thought the gym was just, you go to the gym, you lift, you got your bodybuilders. Everyone kind of knows what bodybuilders are, and that's kind of where you start, just like Edward kind of started in that route as well. I was just going to the gym, just trying to build a base. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the exercises I was doing. I was just kind of putting things together and hoping for the best. And now, with what I've learned with powerlifting and everything, painting a caricature, everything's very, thought out and methodical, and I understand what I'm doing, and I think knowledge is kind of the big aspect in that, is going from a novice to, I wouldn't call myself advanced by any means, but kind of knowing what you're doing and knowing how to put the right things together to get the results that you want. That would be kind of the caricature I would paint.
Okay.
Whoa,
Rob,
no.
you know what? We didn't ask you this.
I would say on that subject, I wish I could have a camera on me, like the first time some of these clients walk into the gym.
And we say it all the time, we should film this.
We're like, we should film this, and then we never film it.
We should film this hideous squat,
that's
and
exactly
like,
what
back.
It's like, if I could film when they first walk in and see the I see it because I used to be it, so I can see it. They're like super timid, don't want anybody to look at them, don't want to make eye contact with them. Like maybe they're a little overweight, maybe they're really small and they haven't lifted, whatever it may be. If I could film that moment, they walk in and sign up, and then they start training and and all the cool stuff happens. They learn how to squat, they learn how to do this, and then if I could film that one day they walk in and like the door flings open, they're like, "What's up, guys? Happy Saturday or Happy Monday or whatever it is," and they like set their stuff down. They go straight to the thing. They start their warm. They go straight to the rack. They start working out. They know exactly what to do. There's no hesitation at all. If I could film those 2 points, that would be my favorite points of every single client that we've ever had here. Those 2 points.
That'd be so many Pixar movies.
There would be so many Pixar movies. But it's the shift. It's the shift from that first time they walk in until that time they walk in and they open the door and they know exactly what to do and they're confident and they know where they're going. And that's not just like confidence in here. It shows in their life too. What's funny, which I don't tell anybody this, what's funny is you can see the difference on their Instagram too, or their social media. It's like one is like like a half a picture, like I took this picture of me, and then a few months down the road, it's like,
and then one's like,
they're like, hey, it's like, you can see the
new
difference.
Hair, who dis?
Yeah, new hair, but photo from down here.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see the difference in their their confidence outside of this place too. That is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure, for me, that's the best thing ever. Sorry, Zach.
Are we wrapping up with questions?
So the final question.
Final question, and then I have concluding thoughts.
Oh,
my God.
you know me so well. For people who may be in your shoes or in similar circumstances as you, transitioning to a sport where like the focus of strength training is totally different than what their body's used to. I don't know, being a returning student later than typical, and balancing that with training and working and doing all these things. Like, what is the most important piece of advice you'd give to these people?
Big one, and this kind of ties into my concluding thoughts as well. But I guess the biggest advice I could give to anyone, people my age, people older, anyone kind of transitioning sports, back into school, whatever it may be, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is to not be scared. Don't be scared of leaving money for something that may be uncertain, or leaving what you're used to for something that might be scary or different. If that's what you enjoy, trust it, give it a shot, and give it your all. You can't try something once and know that that doesn't work for you. One experience doesn't make up the whole picture. So want more for yourself, work hard, and don't be scared to try new things would be, I think, the biggest pieces of advice I could give that kind of apply to most people in life.
So before letting you finish that thought, what gives you the sort of zeal to see that through?
I don't know what the word zeal means.
Zeal, kind of the drive, the excitement to keep going.
Yeah.
I would say the motivation of people around me. My parents are very supportive when I switched careers and switched sports and kind of changed my entire life. So surrounding yourself with good people who push you and are excited for your new challenges and feats is a big one. What else?
Is there any like deep secret personal Zach Cox never told anyone in his whole life motivation?
At that time you peed your bed.
Hey, that happens. I give myself one pass to poop my pants once a year too. It happens.
Deal.
I do that now too, because I just did it the other month.
I don't want to dive down that rabbit hole, but it doesn't count if it doesn't hit the shorts.
Some deep, dark motivational stuff that I kind of.
If you want to share it, you don't have to. If there is at all.
And I don't really have any, but I don't know. The motivation I kind of give to myself, the drive is you need to do things that other people aren't doing. There's always going to be people working just as hard or harder than you, and you need to work hard to keep beating that and keep advancing and getting up earlier and trying to fit more into your day and trying to accomplish more. Just the motivation of wanting what you want in life. Like, I was never big into school. I mean, high school I did well, middle school I did well. After that, didn't want to go to college, lost the urge to kind of learn, and then I self-motivation, learning in powerlifting and going to these seminars brought back the knowledge aspect for me, and I realized I wanted more for myself and just to know more in general, and so never stop learning. That's a big motivation thing for me. And now I have the urge to go get my master's and possibly a PhD, and that's something I never saw on the horizon for myself. So I think the biggest challenge and the biggest motivation for me is trying to self-motivate and trying to keep new things available so you can not have that dip in motivation and keep your motivation high day to day, because it will ebb and flow for sure.
I like it. That's a good one.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't have any deep, dark, secret stuff.
That's a good one.
But yeah, aside from that, any more concluding thoughts?
And that's about it. Like I said, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid if something's uncertain. Give it your all, because if you don't, what's the point of doing something?
That's right. Want to take us away?
So for episode 15, I'm going to conclude my own podcast.
Conclude the conclusion.
This has been Chalk Talk episode 15 with Rob, Edward, and myself. And we hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you can take at least one piece from this and implement it in your life. And go out there and get strong. Have some fun.
Like it, subscribe to it, do all the things you need to do. We will see you next time.
This.
We out. One of those.